Welcome to Tapping Vegas, brought to you by Better and Green. Today we're breaking down Steve Erceg versus Brandon Moreno. We go from the London card down to Mexico, Bobby. And we want to give a special thank you to our friends over at DraftKings, where we get all of our odds from. We give you guys 5 fights every week to win you guys some extra cash. The Haymaker's back. Hey now. Haymaker's
Hit.
back. Almost
Hit.
plus 300, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
believe it was plus 275. Sean Brady double method, KO TKO or sub, and we also had pretty good hits. We both were in on Kevin Holland, nice little plus 110. So
Easy
that was
money.
nice. Easy money. Easy
It,
money. I know Kevin Holland's not exactly the best in the world right now, but putting him up against Gunnar fucking Nelson after a long layoff for Gunnar Nelson, come on now.
It was a great card, and we've just been like scoping a rifle in, man. We're just doing one notch at a time. We've been getting closer, and we've been really hot lately. We've been really sniping some picks. Haymaker's back, so I'm excited to get into this card. Bobby, take this first one away, my man.
Christian Rodriguez versus Melquizael Costa. This is a really good fight to start covering on this card. Picked this fight because I saw some interesting odds on it. You got Costa, who's 22-7, going up against Christian Rodriguez, who's 12-2. So definitely that experience edge handily with Costa. Don't know why Costa's at a pretty good dog status right now. I wanted to jump all over getting him at plus money because he's young, hasn't been in the UFC that long, right? He's only been in the UFC since 2023. Lost his debut to Thiago Moises. It's a tough debut. So rear naked choke. But after that, beat Austin Lingo. Lost to Steve Garcia, which was rough. But, I mean, man, he's really looked like he's turned a corner. Shylin Nudina, he beat. So that was really nice that he beat Shylin. Andre Feely, tough grizzled vet with a lot of experience, round one guillotine that he was able to get. So definitely looks like he had a little bit of growing pain in his first few fights. Seems to be over that. And now he's on a finishing streak and a 2-fight win streak to boot. So definitely excited to see where he's going to go at this stage of his career. Ever since I started paying attention to him a few fights ago, I've been very optimistic about his place in this division. So, yeah, it's at featherweight. It's a Shark Tank right now. I get it, but man, it's pretty fun. 71.5-inch reach for Rodriguez, even though he's a shorter man. 71 for Costa, so not a huge difference there that needs to be made up. No. Age is neck and neck. 27 for Rodriguez, 28 for Costa. So not really a whole lot of difference there in those metrics. Rodriguez, also, young in his UFC career, has been in the UFC since 2022. Also got off to a rough start, lost his debut to Jonathan Pierce, but he beat Joshua Weems, beat Raul Rojas. Also has trouble making weight. Missed weight for that Rojas fight, missed weight for that Simon fight. And at first I was like, Raul Rojas and Cameron Simon, those are two really bright prospects to have feathers in your cap as for Christian Rodriguez to be able to beat them. But I don't know, man. Something about this fight just smells like upset to me. He beat Isaac Dogarian, lost to Julian Erosa. That's a head scratcher. Julian Erosa is another crafty vet. But in 2024, he shouldn't be beating you, especially by guillotine in round one. So that was a bit of an anomaly that's interesting. And then his last fight, Austin Bashi, this past January, he beat him. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think Christian Rodriguez has a future in the UFC. And, I mean, he's been around, like I said, already for a little bit, Contender Series contract. He's just really having trouble making weight. He missed weight for the Contender Series in 2021. Missed weight for the Rojas fight, missed weight for the Simon fight. So that's really an issue for him. Wonder if we see him miss weight again in this fight. It's very possible. We'll see. Yeah, that's just a tough one, man. That's a tough one to excuse missing weight like that and everything, but it is what it is. I just like Costa. I don't know what it is. It's just something in my gut. Maybe that experience edge that he has. Having so many more fights, every other metric being so close and everything, it just feels like Costa's going to be able to win. He feels like he's really turned a corner since that Steve Garcia loss. It feels like he's definitely the more improved guy. And, the weight so far hasn't been a problem for him, which is always great. If you're not killing yourself to make weight and you're not depleting your chin and everything, you can take shots and you can rehydrate and have that gel inside your brain to protect it from those shots and everything. I just can't pass up Costa, and especially looking at the double method for Costa after coming off these two sub wins. Man, it's very tempting because he's got that rear naked in round 3, the Andre Fili guillotine in round 1. He's got 36% of his wins coming by sub, 32% by TKO. It's too tempting because you're getting a double method for Costa by KO, TKO, or sub at plus 400. So obviously it could go to decision. It's a 3-round fight. Rodriguez looks to be a pretty tough guy. So it definitely could go decision. Let's see. Yeah, but I mean, getting caught in that Julian Erosa guillotine, that's just making me wonder, man. That's making me wonder if Costa lights him up on the feet. He could, get anxious, shoot in for a takedown, get guillotined again. He could club and sub, just get him wobbled, go in, get a sub just because he's wobbled. He could get the standing TKO finish. A lot of options I just kind of see playing out with this. So for that, I'm just all in on Costa KO, TKO, or sub double method at plus 400. How do you kind of think this is going to play out?
First off, I'd shout out to Costa for being able to even compete in the UFC. I know he's another full-time job where he's really busy filling in as the bad guy in every knockoff Fast and Furious movie. So just shout out for him having 2 jobs to support his family. Christian Rodriguez, missing weight. You touched on it. I think it's because he's a big guy for the division, man. And he's going to come in. I think he's going to have some mass on Costa, which makes me a little nervous. Like you said, it's not like the reach is anything that is going to give me pause. I do think Rodriguez is a better striker. And I think if Costa wins this fight, I think it is by submission. And I feel pretty confident about that if Costa wins, that is his route to win. I see this as like a Rodriguez decision. I'm not going to pick the decision just because I like playing it safe. I'll just take the money line at minus 166. But like you said, it feels like this could definitely be an upset. And if you're needing to pick dogs, especially like in DFS, when you need to pick dogs to set your lineup, Costa, I think, is a really sneaky good DFS pick this week because not only could he win, he could get the finish too. So that is a lean that I do really like. But I think for just straight up betting, I think I'll take Rodriguez on the money line here. I don't love it. I just think it's going to be, I don't think he's going to want to initiate with a grappling. I think he knows that he can get subbed by Costa, and so he's not going to engage.
I don't think he's going to have a choice when he's rock shooting for his life like Conor McGregor against Nate Diaz. Oh, so you're a wrestler now.
Exactly. Yeah. If he can turn that fight into where Rodriguez is diving at his legs or wanting to engage in the wrestling, man, it costs that dude then.
And then, I mean, bettors are pretty much seeing it how we see it. 49% Costa, 51% on Rodriguez. So very, very split there for sure.
And the pot split exactly the same way, except it's flip-flop. 49% of the money on Rodriguez, 2% sharp money coming in on Costa, which once again, 51% of the money at plus 140. Vegas would much rather pay out the 49% of the minus 166. So I'm going to be on Vegas' side here for this one, as well as the public side, which once again, rarely happens, but we're getting to see that here.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about this next fight, Bobby. We got Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vince Morales. This, I believe, yes, it is. It's the biggest odd differential that we're going to talk about today. Raul Rosas, man, he's so good. He's so good. He's coming into this one 3-inch reach disadvantage, but he's so much younger, so much less wear and tear on him. I don't want to be disrespectful to Vince Morales, though, because I do think that he's still very tough and shouldn't be taken lightly. But once again, this is in Mexico. They want Raul to win. This is a fight Raul should win. I think he's going to come in ready to go here. it's hard to take him. You can't really take him at the money line. Minus 485. I think he wins by like a TKO. So he's got submission also plus 225, decision plus 100, or the KOs plus 700. And I want to take that so bad. But then once again, he has 1.55 strikes per minute. They're seeing it right now. Over 4 takedowns a fight. So then it kind of makes you want to lean towards submission a little bit. What is the double method here? KO sub. Wow, KO sub plus 165. Okay, I guess I'll just do that. I'll just do that and come out with a plus money bet on a double method. If you do the decision with either a KO or a sub, those are both minus money, minus 160. If you go the decision and KO, minus 390 for sub decision. So Vegas is leaning towards the decision here. I don't know. I think Raul Rosas is really good, and I think he can probably finish this one. So I'll do the double finish here, the KO sub. What do you think?
I'm just going to pretty much be in lockstep with you on this. I have obviously the urge to be a contrarian, seeing as how you do get Vince Morales at such an insane, absolutely just ridiculous odd amount here of you have the man at plus 370. It's tempting, but yeah, I feel like it's a trap. Only 9% of the only 9% of bets placed are on him. 91% on Rojas, as you were mentioning. Yeah, I can't do that one. It's tempting because it is so huge, and like you said, it's the biggest odds on the card. But that's just a trap. It's a trap because Morales is also on a 2-fight skid, right? Taylor Lapilus. I think Lapilus just got cut actually, or signed by PFL or something. I can't remember.
That's a bad loss.
Else. Yeah, maybe it was somebody else. Maybe I'm going to double check that right quick, and I'm going to keep talking. But it's still bad to just be on a 2-fight skid, right? This is also his second UFC tenure, so he was in around 2019. Yeah, two days ago, PFL signed Taylor Lapilus. So yeah. He's not even with the UFC, which is a bit odd because he was on he's had a 2-fight win streak, and they just decided not to re-up his contract. So hey, whatever, man. He only lost once in the UFC. But back on topic, I just those 2 losses in a row. I mean, he's already young into the UFC, the second UFC tenure. I mean, he has a lot of experience, but he's 16-9. So this is now a record for a guy who's been around for a while. You know what you're getting. There's no crazy new wrinkles or anything to his game that he's bringing. A lot of mileage, especially for this low weight class. 34 is not usually old in MMA, but this dude already has the miles associated with that, with all these fights. Plus, it's such a low weight class that relies so heavily on speed and your reflexes and your agility. And those are the things that tend to really decline with all this wear and tear that you're picking up in a pretty intense sport like this. And, you know, he came in from Bellator in late 2018, almost 2019, and was just spotty. Lost his debut to the Dongster, Song Yadong.
Oh, yeah.
Beat Edmund Zahabi. Lost to Benito, lost to Chris Gutierrez, beat Draco Rodriguez, beat Luis Smoka, lost to Martinez, lost to Miles Johns, got cut in 2023. He's back. It just wasn't really anything crazy. And once again, Rojas, in my humble opinion, also isn't necessarily living up to the hype he was billed at, but I definitely think, at least in this match, this is a classic example of UFC gimme matchmaking that, hey, 50-50, right? We've also seen these gimme matches go the opposite way, and these heavy favorites get smoked. But I don't think that's going to be the case in this one. I'm just in lockstep with you. So,
yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I said the money percentages. 84% of the money on Rosas, 16% on Vince. So probably Vegas would like Vince to win here, but they don't always get what they want.
Right.
All right, Bobby, take this third fight away, man.
Joe Pyfer versus Kelvin Gastelum. Man, this would have been a good fight like 5-6 years ago, but yeah, it's kind of lost a lot of its appeal. Joe Pyfer is just a very enigmatic guy, 13-3, so not a terrible record, but man, the Hermansson fight just shocked me. I just don't understand that. just very bizarre. I did not think Jack Dam Hermanson of all people would just be able to just make him look stupid and just handily cruise to a decision over him. But man, did he ever. But I like Joe Pyfer. I really do. Contender Series strikes round 2 finish. His first one in 2020, he actually got slammed by Dustin Stoltzfus and had like a shoulder dislocation or something. So he had to take some time off, recover from that, came back on Contender Series, got a contract in impressive fashion with that brutal right hook KO of Austin Trotman. Excuse me, not Austin Trotman, Ozzy Diaz. I was looking at a CFFC fight before that. Ozzy Diaz, brutal strikes finish in round 2 of him to get the Contender Series contract. Alan Abadovsky finished him in round 1 in his real UFC debut. Eric Anders beat him in a grappling match, beat Jared Mearshart with strikes in round 1, beat Gerald Mearshart in grappling. Folks, that's a huge accomplishment. Not only do you beat Gerald Mearshart with strikes, it's actually impressive to beat Gerald in grappling. Mearshart is a very, very highly skilled grappler. So actually, that's pretty big accolade there in a CFFC grappling match. Beautiful arm triangle finish of Abdul Razak Al Hassan, one of the most overrated people in the entire UFC. So long, you fucking loser. Dude finally got cut. And yeah, that weird Jack Hermanson fight, right? But then he rebounded June last year, one punch KO of Marc Andre Barriot in round 1.
Brutal.
So at least he's not so terrible that, Barriot's beating him. Barriot's kind of like that top 15 gatekeeper for the middleweight division. Like, yeah, come on in if you want to be top 15 if you hand my ass to me. And yeah, keeps himself busy with grappling, CFFC grappling matches, beat this Nicholas Willie in a grappling match by decision. So now he's got Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum, cue the funeral music and all the sad singing and flower bringing. 19-9. Boy, if there was ever a death rattle. This is Kevin Gastelum's death rattle. Guy just never could get it together. I really believe he would have been a way better welterweight fighter, but he just has absolutely no discipline, absolutely no drive, just insane. This guy started off very, very filled with potential on the Ultimate Fighter, right? Keto Andrews, Bubba McDaniel, Colin Hart, Josh Salmon, all these guys he beat on the Ultimate Fighter, and he just wasn't able to just get a consistent career kind of strung together. Like, he won the Ultimate Fighter 17 in 2013, so he won his season of it. And usually those people go on to have some success, right? That was back when the Ultimate Fighter was still a pretty prestigious show that you could actually, get yourself some hype and some accolades from winning your season and everything. And it looked like he was going to be fine once he actually, got to the UFC. He won his debut against Uriah Hall back when Uriah Hall was still this monster that wasn't gun shy, that could take your head off. Beat Brian Malakon, Rick Story, Nico Musoki, Jake Ellenberger, and then lost to Tyron Woodley in a split decision in 2015, beat Nate Marquardt, lost to Magny, beat Hendricks, beat Tim Kennedy, beat Vitor, but it was a no contest because he smoked pot, lost to Chris Weidman, beat Bisping, beat Souza. But then he just started this skid, this funk that he just hasn't been able to get out of in 2019. And now he's ending the man's been in the UFC since 2013. That's a long time. All the wear and tear, all the fights, all the punches he's absorbed. And yeah, from 2019 up until now, he's won 3 fights and lost 5 fights. So he is he's 3, 4, 5, 6. He's actually 3-6 in the UFC. 1-3, lost 6, dating back to April 13th of 2019 when he had that back and forth war with Israel Adesanya. Dropped that split Darren Till decision. Got heel hooked by Hermanson. Was able to beat Ian Heinisch. I thought he was back. I was really high on Heinisch at the time. Thought he was a great prospect. No, hell no. He's still not back. Lost to Whitaker. Lost to Cannonier. beat Chris Curtis, got the hell Kimura out of him by Sean Brady, and you beat Daniel Rodriguez, the ghost of him, last June. I just don't have much hope for Kelvin Gastelum. I think this is his last fight. He's only 33, but just too many losses. 3-6 since 2019. You've been in since 2013. You haven't shown anything new. You've honestly shown more signs of regression than anything else. Couldn't make weight at welterweight, just struggled with your discipline, struggled with your motivation. You had to move up to middleweight. You were already undersized at welterweight. You're only 5'9" with a 71-inch reach. You're going up to an even heavier weight class because you lack discipline with guys who are taller and have way longer reaches, a la Israel Adesanya. Like, I wonder if Joe Pyfer's reach is longer. Let me check it out right quick.
Is
Yeah,
75.
Joe Pyfer has, 75-inch reach advantage, 6'2" compared to 5'9". He's younger, and he doesn't have problems making the weight. He doesn't have problems making the weight, but he's a huge guy. It's not like he's undersized for the division. Right. Perfectly looks like his natural weight class that he's most optimal at performing at. And just with such a huge reach advantage against somebody like Gastelum that's going to want to try to box, I really think no matter where it goes, Pyfer has the edge. Like, Gastelum's like not a bad grappler himself, but it's not something he really uses anymore. It's not really a big part of his game. He mainly just wants to box, and he can't even really effectively box in a fun way anymore since that Adesanya fight. He just does boring-ass point fighting. And other than that, anybody else can pretty much have their way with him however they want it because it just doesn't feel like his head's there. It doesn't feel like his heart's there. And I'm not as sold on Pyfer as I was before, but man, now I am. I'm all aboard Pyfer. Pretty sure him and Sean Brady actually trained together. They have a podcast together, I believe, that's called like Body Bags or something like that. So yeah, that obviously helps when you have somebody that you train with like that. So yeah, Philadelphia's premier gym, home to Sean Brady and Joe Pyfer. Yeah, they train out of the same gym, teammates. So obviously that's an iron sharpens iron type thing. We saw how good Sean Brady looked last week, looked phenomenal. I think Joe Pyfer definitely has way more potential at this stage of his career than Kelvin Gastelum. It's way more likely we see Pyfer continue to excel and continue to grow as a fighter. Way more likely that we see that than any type of development from Kelvin Gastelum. If anything, this is the final fight. It ends on a sad note for Gastelum. Another huge odds discrepancy, minus 298 for Pyfer, plus 240 for Gastelum. I can't argue at all. 81% of bets are on Joe Pyfer, 19% are on Gastelum. Let's see if I can try to take the edge off with some methods here for this. I doubt it, but let's find out. So you could do,
There's
I would say, I would say Pyfer, KO, TKO, or sub at plus 120. That's what I like because if you go individual, you get better odds, but it's hard because, like I said, it depends, right? Like the Abdul Razak Al Hassan finish, that actually started off, he had him stunned on the feet and then snatched up the sub. So that's where I don't like playing the game of trying to get in their head and figure out if they have, like, if he has Gastelum hurt, I don't like having to play the guessing game of, well, what's he going to do? Is he just going to batter him and get the KO, TKO because he has him hurt, or is he going to look for the sub? So I'd rather, as long as I'm still getting it at plus 120, KO, TKO, or sub, I'm going to roll with that. Once again, could it go to decision? Kelvin's a tough guy, but I'm not trying to be an armchair psychologist. It just seems like he's mentally not there. Like the Hermanson heel hook, like I see a situation like that happening where he's not even really in danger. He just kind of gives up, right? He just gets stunned, or he just doesn't want to mentally be there, and he finds himself in a bad position. And instead of trying to fight, instead of trying to defend, trying to get out, trying to reverse, scramble, etc., he just kind of accepts it. And he just kind of lets himself go out on his shield and his eyes and stuff like that. So I'm going KO, TKO, sub double method at that plus money for Pyfer. What do you think?
I think I got confused. You were talking about Sean Brady, and they're talking about guys giving up. Are you talking about Gastelum, or are you talking about Leon?
Could be a repeat since they're teammates.
Right?
Brady's moment was last week. This could be Pyfer's moment this week.
You just saying that made me think of Leon, like immediately cracked me up. Bobby, this is my Nuck If You Buck fight of the card.
Yeah, it should be fun for as long as it lasts.
When I initially was looking at this fight and doing my research, I always pick before I see the odds. And I got to this fight and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the underdog in this fight because I just see both guys are going to swing, come out there hard, and try to knock the other dude out. But then I kept digging, man. And I think what I was doing is I was making Joe pay for the sins of disappointments before him. Like, the Hermansson fight was bad, but I feel like he was gassed. He was really gassed. That was a 5-round headlining fight, and he went against a grizzled vet who took him into the deep water and beat him. But I was also like, doesn't this feel so much like the Zach Reese-Cody Brundage fight? Where you're like, oh man, Zach Reese should come in and destroy him. And then Cody Brundage bombs him and ends up knocking Zach Reese out. But I was like, okay, I can't hold that against Pyfer. You know, that's a whole different fighter. This is a whole different fight, different guys. So with the reach advantage, with Pyfer just being so dangerous, and I think he was pissed after that loss to Hermansson, honestly. Because he came out and poor Marc-Andre, man, he just slept that man cold. If the ref didn't step in, he would have just kept bombing away because he was ready to get something out. And then, like you said, Gastelum, is there a chance he catches Pyfer and puts him out cold? I think, yes, there's a chance. So I wouldn't throw everything I own on Pyfer, but I do like Pyfer a lot in this fight. I like the reach. I like that he's younger, has way less wear and tear. Even the fight that he did lose against Hermansson was a decision. It was a decision, right? It wasn't a TKO.
Against Hermansson?
Yeah, it's just decision.
Let me double check. I'm 95% sure, yeah, it was just a boring decision because he was just inactive and he just didn't try to push forward at all. And he was just way too content to just let Jack Hermansson karate box him. Yeah, it was a unanimous decision.
It was. Okay. That's what I thought. I know he didn't get knocked out, but just saying, like, Pyfer, he still got his chin on him. Gastelum, I think, could get knocked out. I really like Pyfer by KO, but you did talk me into the double method, especially since it's still out plus odds. I think I'll be with you and do the plus 120. Looking at 81% of bets are on Pyfer, 65% of money. So we're seeing a lot of sharp money coming on Gastelum. I think that just has to do with these being high odds in a fight that somebody can get knocked out. And another interesting line I just wanted to touch on while we're talking about these guys is this is a 2.5 line, which I thought was a little interesting. I kind of thought this might be a 1.5 line. And I know like a lot of times those are heavyweight fights, but both these guys are going to come out swinging with ill intent. And right now, over is at minus 135, under 2.5, plus 105. I kind of like that, Bobby. I kind of like that under 2.5 at plus money. Like, did I find something, or is that a Vegas trap?
Well, they have 2.5 minutes. Where they have the lines at again? What's
at the plus 2.5 odds? Over is minus 135. Under is plus 105. So you're really just saying he's going to get the finish before the 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the third round. And at that point, he'd go to decision anyways.
I think he could. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I am worried. It's what Kelvin Gastelum shows up. But since 2019, the man hasn't looked like he's wanted to be there. If this was Kelvin Gastelum in 2015, yeah, I'd be like, there's no damn way he gets knocked out, right? But, like, the more I think about it, it's like his hardest fight since 2019 was Israel Adesanya, and look how that's aged, right? At first, it was like, oh, my God, the champion, and, like, da-da-da-da, but now it's aged like milk in retrospect, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I just don't think he wants to be there. I don't think – it doesn't matter how good his chin is if his brain – like, if his spirit's not there, you know? Like, if his chi and his chakra – doesn't let him be a warrior. You know what I mean, man? Like,
he needs to spend some time with Yuri.
Yeah.
You
The man
bullshit. Yeah.
just the man just doesn't want to be there. It's like Dana White says, the kid doesn't want to fight. Kid doesn't want to fight, man. I think that's pretty decent at plus odds because I could
Yeah.
easily see, like I said, he gets rocked or he just gets put in a disadvantageous situation. And he's like, here I am, please choke me. You
Right.
know?
I think I might have a couple units on that. Not gonna lie. I don't know how many
Yeah,
yet, but I think I'll probably have a couple units on that.
I don't hate it.
Let's talk about this next fight. We're talking Manuel Torres versus Drew Dober. Really not a great card, but these last 3 fights I am actually very interested in. Manuel Torres had I believe it was the Sphere. He fought on like a no-chick card and got, like, was it knocked out by Ignacio Bahamondes? If it was,
He's been
if
getting. I mean, Gene Silva got a doctor stoppage over him. Matt Frivola, dude's been getting passed around like a soda on a hot summer day lately.
Torres has had a little bit of a rough time, but Dober got really beat up by Gene Silva. Like, took his lunch money and his girlfriend beat up by Gene Silva. One of the big things I saw with the Torres fight was just he was outreached. It felt like Torres could not reach Bahamondes. Dober, meanwhile, 3-inch reach disadvantage. Torres, much more active. I think he's a better grappler. I'm really surprised to see he's the underdog. And unfortunately, there's some reverse line movement here, too. 62% of the bets on Torres, 66% of the money, so 4% sharp money. And he moved from a minus 105 to a plus 100. So everything from a betting standpoint there says to take Dober. That you should go the opposite way. But man, I just don't see. And I think part of the reason that they might be thinking this is Dober he's the Crimson Chin, man. He's just so hard to knock out, so tough. And then Torres feels like he gets knocked down every single fight. But man, he's just so active and moves forward. This one is so tough for me, Bobby. I really want to take Manuel Torres. The line is really scaring me, though.
Sorry, you asked me about Torres. I was reading you Drew Dober. Drew Dober was the one that was getting passed around like a hot soda on a hot day because John Silva and all that. Yeah, it was Bahamondes. Manuel Torres's last loss was his last fight this past September. He lost to Bahamondes. But before that, really good finish over Frank Camacho, really good finish over Chris Duncan, really good finish over Nicholas Mata. So yeah, that's been his first 3 UFC fights, all finishes, all round 1. The only hiccup was that Bahamondes fight last September. So yeah,
I guess I'm gonna stay on Torres here. I'll do Torres money line, but like I said, the Vegas movement is really scaring me on this fight. So my personal money, I might stay off of this one. And once again, in DFS, Dober might be worth. Torres is going to be the cheaper option, but really both these guys at minus 120 and plus 100 are probably going to be right there at that corner where you start changing the odds from underdog to favorite. I think both of them are pretty good plays here, but they're seen on the screen right now. Everything is green on the Torres side. He's better at every single category. So what do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, this one's hard and very confusing from a better perspective. I mean, Torres has the 73-inch reach, so 3-inch reach advantage over Dober's 70. Also has the height advantage. He's 5'10". Dober's listed at 5'8". He has the youth advantage. You mentioned all the other striking differentials and everything else are displayed on the screen for the fans that are watching our show right now. Everything's green for Torres. Everything's red, which obviously is bad for Dober. Dober has the wear and tear. He's 27-14. He's coming off 1 win in his last, 4 fights, those 3 losses, 1 being, dude, Matt Frivola should not be finishing you in 2023 by strikes. John Silva, no shame there. No shame to Hanato Moricano, but he's been in the UFC so long. The dude's been in the UFC since 2013. He made his debut, started off rocky, 2-fight skid. Won, overturned no contest against Silva, lost 1-1, lost 1-1-1, lost 1-1-1, lost, like so spotty. He'll string together a three-fight win streak, then he'll lose. And now he's 1-3, and it's like, man, this guy's been around for so long. So obviously that experience does help, but it comes with that wear and tear. It comes with all that damage. It comes with the age disadvantage at this weight class. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, for all those reasons, it's kind of making me fall more into Torres because right now I have Torres at a plus 100, and that's just insane to me because of all those things that we just talked about. So that is just insanity. That is just wild. 62% of bets are on Torres, 38% on Dober. So, like you're saying, Vegas doesn't necessarily want to pay that out, but it's like – could this be the example of the hype job and the bright young prospect getting a reality check by the grizzled vet? Sure, but damn, man, that's tough. I mean, especially
Torres just lost. It doesn't make any sense to me. And this is moving, Bobby. Torres was minus 105 last night, and this money's coming in, and he's getting to be an even bigger dog.
It's got to be the name value of Dober. Most people probably know him, have tuned in since he's been around for so long. They recognize him. They know he is in bangers, regardless of whether he wins or loses. He does put on entertaining, crazy fights. It's got to be those factors, man, because I just don't understand how you can have a guy with a reach advantage, a youth advantage, a striking differential, a striking accuracy advantage, the takedown, like everything's green. On the screen for this man, and everything's red for Dober, and he's at all these disadvantages. What was your method on it and everything? Would you roll with?
I just want money line. I'm getting Torres at plus 100. I'm just taking it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get greedy. That's how I'm rolling too.
All right, man. Let's head to Scranton, Pennsylvania, man. Take away the last fight.
Yeah, cue the Office theme. Steve Erceg versus Brandon Moreno. I said it before when we correctly called the Kaikar France KO over this dude. I don't know where the hell Steve Erceg came from. I don't know what U.S. aid funding was given to this man to make him like a hype job from hell, but I've never bought into it. And so if you listen to us with that Kaikar France fight, because we even called it down to the knockout, I said it was going to be that. I said he was going to make him look stupid, and you had a pretty huge plus number on that. So I'm just not an Erceg guy. I mean, he's lost to the elite, right? Kaikar France is looking pretty damn good. Obviously, Pantoja's the champ. But, I mean, he hasn't even been in the UFC that long, which is why I'm like, this guy's been in the UFC since June of 2023. But after beating David Dvorak, Alessandro Costa, and Matt Schnell, and only one of those was a finish, he's somehow being touted as like the man to dethrone Pantoja and to give Pantoja a run for his money and like this world beater. And it's like, where? How? Who? USAID, man. USAID, the same people that fund the sweet life of Zach and Cody for that village in Cambodia to have their Netflix subscription to see the ending of the final season were funding this guy's hype, man. And that shit's dead. Shit's dead, bro. It's over. We ain't doing that anymore. I mean, Brandon Moreno, 70-inch reach, 68 for Erceg. He's 29, big whoop. Moreno's 31. I mean, 22-8-2. Could that be wear and tear? Could that be the vet experience? Who knows? Erceg's 12-3. Could go either way. I'm not going to be a hypocrite because I've talked about how it can be a detriment. This could be a detriment to Moreno. I mean, more wear and tear, but also the vet edge as it goes in all these fights. The 31's not too concerning, but it starts to be once again at this lower weight class. But I mean, when it comes to 31 versus 29, that's not a huge gap to me, though. Now, if Erceg was like 24 and 31, different story. It's not too much of a big deal in this fight, though. Amir Albazi coming off a win. Brandon Moreno that was a very good win. Lost to Brandon Royval, very close split decision, lost to Pantoja. Before that, doctor stoppage over Figgy, strikes finish over Kaikar France, unanimous decision loss to Figgy, but then he choked out Figgy before. So I really like Brandon Moreno in this. I just don't see how Steve Erceg coming off a pretty brutal KO loss, even though he's given himself enough time to heal and everything. I mean, obviously everybody's got to end sometime, right? Nobody gets their fairy tale ending in MMA more often than not. Most people don't know when to retire. They keep chasing that win, and even when they finally get it and they should retire, they're like, "Oh man, all this does is affirm to me I should stick around way longer, and now I'm going to lose again, and now I'm going to lose and lose, and now it's just embarrassing." Nobody has a graceful retirement like other sports. They keep chasing the next thing. It's a little tempting when you see plus 210 on Erceg, especially if you're falling for that CIA propaganda and everything to try to hop on Erceg at a plus 210 compared to a minus 258 to Moreno. Because I will agree with you, that's a bit egregious. It should be closer to a pick 'em, I genuinely believe, just because of that wear and tear on Moreno and how long he's been around. It, like I said, at some point the wheels have to come off, and any fight, you're kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop with that anxiety and that palpitation of like, damn, is this guy finally going to skid out? Is the plane going to go down? Are we going to have a rocky but safe landing? And I could see why people, would think that about Moreno. So that's why I do agree it should be way more of a pick 'em. Moreno has no business being this heavy of a favorite against anybody. But I mean, you got 83% of bets on Moreno, 17% on Erceg. So at least a lot of you guys have stop being brainwashed. I don't know. This is just kind of an ugly fight from a betting perspective. Again, if you're not going with Erceg, I don't. This would be a 5-round fight. I could see this honestly being kind of boring. I could see KO, TKO, or decision, which is apparently how Vegas sees it for Moreno, because you're getting that at minus 225. I don't think there's going to be a finish. I mean, there could be, but I don't know. Kaikara France feels like he's got a little bit of power in his hands. I don't necessarily know if Moreno does. I don't know. I just don't like this fight from a method standpoint. I might play it safe and just take money line. What do you think?
I think that was a fantastic breakdown. There is like a big issue in this division, and the UFC knows it. And I think that's why this is government funded Erceg. This is why he's here. Because, dude, look at this before, like, this fight. This is just the Brandons, Pantoja, Kaikar France, like, has been kind of inactive in and out, and Figgy. Like, that's literally what this division has been. I'm going to go back to 2020, and these are Moreno's opponents. The other Brandon Royval. Figgy, Kaikara France, Figgy, Pantoja, Brandon Royval again. It's just like all these top guys are just fighting each other and nobody else is breaking in. And so they had to create Erceg to come in and give these guys other people to fight. Because then Moreno fights, who is this? Amir Albazi, wins by unanimous decision back in November. I think that the fight against Royval that he just lost is going to be a good thing for this fight, because that fight was also down in Mexico, and I think he thought he could just coast and that he would just get the home win, and he didn't. Like, he came in really lackluster effort. I think wasn't that like the 5th round? He like wasn't even really throwing punches at the end. He's just kind of dancing around, trying to be flashy and stuff. It's not like he was gassed. Dude just wasn't trying, and the judges. We're like, all right, dude, well, we're going to give it to Royval because he's actually out here doing something. And I think he was a little bit embarrassed by that, as he should be. So I think that's going to be better for him here. Like, once again, like you said, does that going to mean he's going to get the finish? I don't know. Probably not. This is, I see it being a lot, like you said, a 5-round fight that's probably going to be pretty boring. I think Moreno wins also. I don't. Erceg's government funded, man. I don't see the hype here. And Moreno, one of the best in the division. He really is. And the only reason he's not fighting Kaikar, France, and Pantoja is just because he's already fought them recently. And these guys have to have somebody else to fight. So now he's fighting Steve Erceg. And like exactly what happens. You throw him against Amir Albazi. You give him somebody else. All right, he wins. He wins by unanimous decision. That just kind of was going to be here. Another unanimous decision win against finally somebody different than he's fought before. Like I said, he fought Figgy in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 5 fights, he fought Figgy 4 times. 3 of them were in a row. A draw, a win, a loss. Then he has Kaikar, France, and then Figgy with a win. Like, it's just the same guys fighting. You got to throw somebody else in there. But it's always the same guys that win. And that's why the UFC has such a problem. Because Royval keeps beating all these up-and-comers. Moreno beats the up-and-comers. Pantoja beats the up-and-comers. Like, they just try to get that guy with Pantoja, right? The guy from Japan, I feel like was the last guy that Pantoja had. And they're trying to get somebody new in here. But these guys just keep winning. And I think we're going to see that again.
Yeah, I was really happy to see Brandon Moreno be able to beat Albazi. Albazi was the first guy, like you were mentioning, to kind of break into that revolving door of the Brandons and Pantoja and Figgy. And he was kind of billed as like, all right, we know it's getting kind of boring with just these same guys fighting each other. This guy's got a lot of potential. Let's see what he can do. And it was like Moreno pretty much handled him easily. So that was very encouraging at this stage of his career to see. And that's another factor that makes me, want to roll with Brandon Moreno on this and see him as a pretty sizable favorite. So, yeah.
Yep. I don't like methods either, so I will go money line also. That way we'll just put 2 units on the Moreno. Nasty minus 250, but whatever. Just extra unit we'll make out with.
Right.
Like half a unit, something. Yeah, let's talk about haymakers, man. We finally hit last time. I mean, we were just swinging over the fences with like plus 1300s, plus 900s. We were finally like, you know what? We're going to pull it back a little bit. And I mean, that was like a sand wedge. Just like a nice little tap it. Just a little pitch. Easy cover. For such a nice plus money play. So, what are you thinking here, man? And once again, if you guys want $150 of free bets, use the link in the description or our website, bettergreen.com, where we have more DFS and MMA articles. But, Bobby, what are you thinking that the people should put that money on?
Yeah, this one's tough looking over it. There's not much odds-wise on some of these fights with how close a lot of them are. For me to kind of get excited about. You're kind of getting screwed on some of it. But one thing I did come across, I was like, it's either going to be Costa or Pyfer for me. Maybe I'll do something for Costa on Twitter or something to be active again with that and, get back into the swing of things. But for now, I think I'm going to go. I'm really in on Pyfer, man. I'm really in on him. And so even though I already done the double method, I think I'll pony up some more on him and I'll say haymaker straight sub is at plus 350. So that seems pretty reasonable. Maybe, like I said, him and Sean Brady are teammates out of the same gym. He saw what, Sean did to Leon. Maybe he wants this to be his Leon moment with Gastelum, and he goes out there and he's like, hey, I gotta one up my teammate. We got that friendly rivalry going on. I want to let people know to put some respect on my name, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to sub the hell out of this dude. Oh, you know what? Since Sean Brady got the Kimura over him, maybe he's going to be like, look, dude, I can sub him better than you. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
After Sean Brady locked up the Kimura, once again, Kelvin Gastelum was like, welterweight's the answer for all my problems. And then he's back up to middleweight for this. Joe Pyfer's going to be like, dude, they're going to be Eskimo brothers. That's all I'm saying. Pyfer and Sean Brady are about to be Eskimo brothers. They're going to do bad things to that man.
I like it, man. Just subbing the soulless fighters, the guys that are just not in it anymore. I love it. I love it, man. We will be back next week with another UFC card. Bobby, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, as always, a pleasure. Thank you to everybody watching.
Peace, guys.
Peace.